Other news making headlines today, hashtag total shutdown marches taking place around the country. Women protesting against gender-based violence. In addition to these demonstrations, women are being asked to stay away from work and also not to go shopping. eNCA's Dasen Thathiah is tracking the story live for us from Durban. Dasen, we crossed you just a little earlier and we saw some incredible scenes there, the women taking to the streets. It just gives you a sense of the feeling on the ground as we launch this year's Women's Month.
Michelle, well, the best way to give you a sense is to show you, so let me do just that. Just take a look at some of the numbers that this march has attracted here at the City Hall. You remember earlier these protesters had assembled at Curry's Fountain. When we last spoke, they had just about arrived at the City Hall. But they've attracted more attention while waiting here at the City Hall. Now it just seems that they're just waiting for a representative of the provincial government to hand over that memorandum that they have. There was some delay. It was meant to be the Community Safety MEC in Kolisi Kaunda, but it seems now that he's asked his counterpart, the Education MEC, Tandeni Dungwane, to collect that on his behalf, but he hasn't arrived here just yet. Although the mayor of eThekwini municipality is here, the organizers have agreed that they don't want to hand over the memorandum to another woman. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that memorandum in a second, Michelle, but I just want to talk to you, at least talk to some of these protesters that have gathered here. Hello. Hi. So you've been with this crowd as you made your way through the city and eventually reached here at City Hall. What has been your perception of the event so far?
So far, I think it's been a great success. I think that it was great to see women come together in numbers and also just stand up and let the whole city see that, you know, it's about time that they stood up and they worked and walked with us as well to make sure that the scourge of violence against women really does come to an end.
You know, what I found is that although the overall message is the same for all of the women here, everyone has their own personal reason for being here and being a part of this. What's yours?
My personal one is that I've just left a relationship which was very abusive emotionally and physically. And someone who's in the public, for me, it was a very difficult thing to do, to come out in public and actually declare something like that had been happening, especially because of the judgment that you actually do get from people. So, you know, people expect you to have this perfect life and everything to be going well, and for you to come out and say, you know what, it's not really as glossy as it all looks, was really a step for me, a healing process indeed. And I'd encourage a lot of people to actually take that step, whether you come out to your family, your friends, or even in public. Really, just do it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing that with us. And you, ma'am, where do you come from and who are you representing here today?
I'm currently a student at KZN. I am representing all women, I guess, and basically we're trying to say enough is enough. We've had enough. Emotional abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse. We're tired, we're exhausted. Can it just stop?
And I spoke to another young lady earlier saying that it is particularly bad for students.
Oh yes, the things that happen on campus are crazy. The abuse that goes on campus is crazy. The rape that goes on campus that goes unreported, or when reported is dismissed as if it's nothing. It hurts, it's painful, and it needs to stop.
Thank you very much. Michelle, that actually leads perfectly into that explanation of the memorandum that I wanted to give to you. We haven't seen it just yet because they don't want to show it to us before they hand it over. But in summary, it deals with those issues, the issues of rape cases being taken seriously, the training of police to deal with issues related to women and children. But more than anything, the protesters here want to ensure that the laws that we have, which they're happy with, are actually enforced and implemented in the correct way.
Now, Dasen, I want to talk a bit more about this appeal to women to stay away from any kind of spending today, to keep away from any kind of economic activity. What's that about in relation to the total shutdown?
And for those of you who know what happened
Well, Michelle, here is the reason for that. They want to create as much disruption as they possibly can. And the reason for that is to bring this message to the fore. So the issue around spending, about staying over from work, it also shows the role of women in the economy. It shows the role of women in the workplace and exactly how instrumental every single one of these women standing here is. And by staying away from those activities, it just shows their role. And apart from that, even if you look at the way the protesters made their way through town, they really did bring it to a standstill. And I think that is exactly what they had intended to achieve today.
Yeah, some powerful messages coming out of that march where you are and around the country as well. But I want to talk to you about the importance of marching in this way. When women have for years complained about these ceremonial events that take place to mark Women's Month and to protest against violence against women with very little effect.
Michelle, you know, we've been to those marches, we've seen those protests, but maybe it's just my gut feeling, but there seems to be a renewed drive and there seems to be a renewed energy among the people that are here now. In fact, I spoke to one of the organizers for the Durban leg, and she said to me that this is really only the start. And earlier I had asked her why men were not part of this march, and it was at that point that she said that that's because that this is only really the first leg. This part of the march was reserved exclusively for women. In fact, the only men that were allowed here were those that are working. And that tells me that this conversation is going to continue. There are men that are going to come on board later. This memorandum will be handed over to provincial government. It will join the other memorandums that are handed to government across the country. And I think it just feels like there is this renewed drive to bring this message to the fore. And that's also because of the number of cases that we've been seeing recently, Michelle. I mean, even just here in Durban, I spoke earlier about that Mangosuthu University of Technology student, Solile Kumalo. Her sisters are here also joining this fight. We saw those rape cases involving children in Verulam recently. So everyone has this urge to spread that message. There was a lady that I spoke to not long ago for my previous crossing, and she'd come here topless. And she said that for her reason for that is to also draw attention to the fact that she can walk around here like that, and it doesn't mean that she's giving consent to anyone. And her placard reads, "Consent is sexy."